So you have people who transition from male to female, and then they're interacting with men who are presumably heterosexual, right? And they may or may not know. Um, I look at it like this, and men have this conversation when we kind of talk about it. We don't talk about it too much, but it does come up. If you're a heterosexual man and then you don't know that you're interacting with somebody who's transitioned, uh, do you guys think, or and this is a question for anybody, that at the very least they owe that information to men who they presume to be heterosexual that they're interacting with? Now, not in passing or not just business or something like that, but interpersonal, possibly romantic relationship.
Of
Do you think
course,
they owe us that information,
first thing
or
you
do they
should
owe that
say.
to the man that they're interacting with?
It should be the first thing they should say.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking is that initially, when this kind of started to come about, it wasn't as upfront. I think people are being more forward and open with it because it's more of there's no real reason not to do it. But I've also heard, and I don't ask me the examples. I just can remember seeing it in passing as these topics are broached. That I remember one person who transitioned said they don't owe that information to anybody. And my disagreement was, well, yeah, if you're interacting in an interpersonal, relationship, yeah, then you do to some extent. Now, not up right up front, or outside of business or something to that effect, or passing. But if you're interacting in some kind of interpersonal way, it makes sense. And you guys generally agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. And this was a issue, like not now so much, but 20 years earlier and before. 20 years and before, because I remember this from the Steve Harvey show. There was an incident, well, not an incident, but how Steve Harvey would do his strawberry letters. Somebody called in and said, "Hey, look, I'm a transition from male to female, married to this man who doesn't know," and the dude was expecting to produce children. And they were kind of laughing about it then. I didn't think it was funny. I was like, well, why wouldn't you just tell the guy from the beginning? But if you remember, before it became the LGBT movement and all the other stuff and more acceptance, it was the gay rights movement, right? And it was difficult back then to kind of even deal with the subject at that point. But here we are 30 years past that point. So it shouldn't be an issue, but still, I'm seeing like, some stuff pop up that says, they don't have to do that. But if you guys agree to it, then that would be the only point where it would intersect with heterosexual men. So that seems to be, You guys have any comments on that?
Yeah. So there's a schism within our community on this side, right? To take the T out of LGBT or whatever, because trans people don't identify as gay or lesbian. When they transition, they are in the full mindset, I am now a woman. And so whoever dates me, like, they're getting a woman. And I'll say some guys, I don't know the number, but the guys that are typically attracted to trans women don't see themselves as gay either. They will say that they're straight. And so it's a detachment from what you and I would say, like gay or straight. Mm. If you tell me you mess with a trans person, I'm going to say you're gay. But they don't identify that way. Like Caitlyn, Bruce Jenner, whoever dates women. And so technically, like, we see her as a lesbian, but she's a boy in real life, if that makes sense. Yeah, I do think that you should propose, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Again, not my wheelhouse, so I don't get too much into the identification, what it is they call themselves and how they classify sexually. But it's just let the guys know the information. And I didn't think about this was an issue initially, but if you're a young man coming up today, and then you're looking for a family and all the other stuff, then you really need to know that information. And then the other thing too is, as it relates to children. So there's controversy, and I actually saw a recent congressional hearing on this. There was a young lady that transitioned she went from female to male, which means she had to have some stuff removed, and then then they become whatever it is they become, and then the decision was made. You know what? This was not good for me. And the reason was that there was a lot of emphasis on it when this person was underage, and then this person became of age, legal adult age, and decided this was not the way I wanted to go. So then that person went through the detransition process and transitioned back to female. But now, there are certain things that happen physiologically that, have made some, permanent changes. So that was a testimony there. So my only thing is, if that's the issue, then shouldn't it be? And shouldn't it be like you shouldn't make the decision until you're at least of legal adult age, so you can do it on your own? Or what do you guys think about that?
Yeah. Gender confirming surgery, you should definitely wait till a person is fully developed. I'm not a proponent, but if it was put into law or some type of something, I would say after 25, because it's proven scientifically that your brain is fully developed after 25. So at the very least, if it had to be a thing, let's make sure that person is rounded enough in their own mind to make a real decision.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because like this is an issue like right now today. I just saw that congressional hearing where that young person testified to, look, somehow they got caught up in the whole business of what it was going on, and their parents actually agreed to it. That's the other thing too. Their parents agreed to it, but they were pressured into it by sociologists, psychologists, behavioral specialists. And if you put an age limit on it, like this is the minimum age, and that's what I thought it was anyway. There's a show that was on TLC, which is very interesting. I don't know if you guys know about the person named, it was a woman named Jazz something.
Yeah, I just said that.
Okay, yeah, and I thought that was pretty interesting, because that's the only thing I really watch is like stuff on TLC. So whatever comes on is whatever comes on, and I don't think that show is on anymore. But I thought because she waited until 18 to get it done, I thought that was the actual rule for the law. Turns out that wasn't the case at all. So
just like with anything, you can get a tattoo with your parents' consent. So I mean that's I think that's superficial. Maybe
okay, yeah, you can get married underage with your parents' consent.
Yeah,
depending on the laws in the state. Okay, yeah,
you have that, but the parents don't know which way is up. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted to comment on that because I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I was just
I just wanted to comment on that because that seemed like it got missed in the conversation.
And we out.